Echoplex Media is live Wednesday through Sunday on Twitch. Shows start at 7 or 9 p.m. Pacific. You can get our whole schedule at echoplexmedia.com. Make sure to follow us, twitch.tv/echoplexmedia. Enjoy the show.
Don't forget to follow us on social media for beautiful food and inspiration.
Bitch, make me famous.
Hey everybody, welcome to Downballot. We do this show Fridays, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. We had a bit of a noodle summit this week and decided to keep this shitty project going. What's going on, Councilman?
Not much. Really enjoyed our noodle summit, actually. Still feeling the after effects a little bit, but it was delicious. Great to see you as always. This is the Councilman. You can find me on Twitter if it's still there, at THE_Councilman. I'll be looking for some new social media opportunities out there. So please suggest your favorite new fangled social media sites, and I'd be happy to jump on those and give them a little test drive for you. But mostly just lurking in Los Angeles this week. As you can tell, I'm on the road in Southern California, attending the California Democratic Party convention, first in-person one in quite a while. So can't wait to cause some shenanigans at the hospitality suites tonight after we wrap our little show and you move on to bingo, and I'll give you a little report back next week.
On the hospitality, you're in the hospitality suites.
Yeah, well, I'm in our suite right now at the Radisson. But we'll be going to a lot of politicos and PACs and other groups and organizations will host little soirees after hours at the conventions and offer free ice cream and beer and socializing for all of the big wigs and just trying to curry favor with all of us delegates.
Very nice, very nice. That is a hero move coming from on the road. And not for nothing, your hotel's Wi-Fi is actually better than the fucking connection you hit me up from your house.
That's just, it serves me right for not setting up our mesh a little better at the house sooner. So we'll have a much better connection at the house starting next week. But yeah, give it up to Marriott Bonvoy.
So what do we got for leading off?
Well, this is something you found actually, but it looks like BART decided they wanted to go. They needed new ridership, right? We're post pandemic, and the riders aren't coming back, and they're worried about that. So it looks like they're probably trying to attract like a new, younger audience. Potentially Track 9. I think she would definitely be down with this. But yeah, it looks like they're using anime characters to try to bring ridership back to BART, and we'll find out more from ABC.
Well, check these out. These anime characters are just 3 of 5 introduced today by BART. They have names like Nimbus and Bailey with their own character descriptions and their own personalities. Now, if this sounds a bit unusual for BART, here's what's going on here. It's an effort to try to attract young people to help improve ridership, which, as you're going to see, has been dismal since the pandemic. And while it's slowly going up again, right, still dramatically down. BART ridership last month averaged just over 157,000 weekday exits in April, compared to more than 400,000 in April of 2019. So as you can see, a huge drop off there. ABC 7 News reporter Lena Howland joining us live now at Walnut Creek. BART with a closer look at the new effort. Lena?
Well, it's no secret that BART has been struggling. Their ridership numbers still have not returned to pre-pandemic levels just yet, which is creating a looming financial cliff. It's come to a point so serious where the agency and other state lawmakers have asked for a state bailout. But that's not stopping BART from doing everything they can to attract more riders here, bring more people back in a new and very different way. This is Bailey the Goat, an anime character who is supposed to be a star online influencer based in the Bay Area. And she was inspired by the grazing goats contracted by BART to reduce fire danger on their properties. She's one of 5 other characters now dubbed as BART's new anime mascots, all created by artists right here in the Golden State.
Oh, cool. I like the bird.
According to their website, BART says these
I like the bird too.
I like the bird. A young person
will help us in our mission to promote public transportation use, especially among youth riders, a growing and reliable ridership demographic, something daily riders like Bryant Baker say it adds to the sense of belonging.
I think it's kind of nice because, like, it's a part of the Bay Area that's not, like, expanding out more, you know? When I was a kid, it wasn't a bunch of anime stuff there. Now we're seeing, like, anime stuff everywhere, which is, I think it's kind of dope.
But this comes at a time when ridership still has not returned to pre-pandemic levels.
I think if it gets people to ride BART more, that's great. I think it's a really good public transit system.
He's a millennial.
Honestly, I think the thing that's the bigger sticking point is just safety.
A Bay Area Council poll from earlier this month says 90% of former riders want to see more frequent cleaning. 79% would like to see better code of conduct enforcement, and 73% would like to see more uniformed police on BART.
Changing one part, changing the promotion is not enough if you don't change the service itself.
Ivan Fedorenko, a marketing professor at Cal State East Bay, says,
certainly not a professor of audio engineering. My God.
That even his own kids would be interested in seeing. He thinks BART has bigger priorities that still need attention.
I'd say for a service like BART, keeping your current customers happy, keeping their business so they keep running with you, is so much more important and so much more profitable.
He does his hits from a closet, obviously.
One-time passengers for one ride.
And all 5 of these mascots will make their debut in person tomorrow at Fanime Con, which is a very popular anime convention in downtown San Jose. Live in Walnut Creek, Lena Howland, ABC 7 News.
I don't know, they're cute, but I don't think it's going to like increase ridership. I mean, it might be part of if they're going to like redo their branding or whatever. Sure, that's cool. Like, and if it's part of a longer, like an overall like long-term strategy, maybe.
Right. But I don't, they showed the stats, right? The top 3 concerns, right? Was safety and et cetera. Right? I did not see new mascots on that list of top concerns of BART riders. Yeah. I mean, like any transit, you make it affordable, cheaper and more efficient than taking your car. You make it clean, make it safe. People will take it, right?
Yeah. The one thing, like the last time I was on BART, it was really clean. But there's a thing that people don't, that I don't think most people understand. There's new BART cars, and then there's the old ones.
Right. The ones that still have the poo stains.
Right. And the old ones, there's nothing you can do about them. But we can't replace that with, especially with the rider shortfall. All the old cars can't be replaced immediately.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. The one thing I don't like about the new cars is there's like no seating. Actually, if it was actually crowded, there's a lot of open space. And the old BART cars, like there's just rows of seats, like as if people were going to ride it. And they almost built the new BART cars as if nobody was going to be on them in the first place.
Right. Or they're expecting people to take shorter rides and maybe like not sit down, or just hop on for a stop or two. But this seems like something that was concocted in like a committee or a boardroom is just a one-off idea and not part of a more coherent, longer term strategy, which is really what they need, frankly. So I don't, great. I'm sure some kids will be into it, but it's not going to, I don't think it's going to be the factor that makes them get on a BART or feel more welcome on BART. I think if there's no one, sitting next to them, masturbating and shitting all over themselves, like that might help. But other than that,
I mean, I don't know. That used to be I don't know, maybe not the shitting so much, but like you used to, the weird shit you'd see on public transit used to be like the one of the reasons to take public transit. Now everybody's fucking terrified. I don't know why, man. I mean, I have some stories that I can't tell on air for sure about some of the shit I've seen on public transit. My God.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it runs the full gamut, right? Like you see performers who are like really damn good, right? Just pop squatting or busking on the train. And it goes all the way to, just pretty gnarly shit, right? So, again, yeah. I don't think this is going to be the thing that brings people back to BART and public transit, but we'll see.
We will see. So
I do appreciate the goats, though. They're definitely giving it up for the goats.
Yeah, fuck yeah. That's one of the things we appreciate around here the most. We have goat emotes for the people in the chat. One other channel's Radar channel. Now we had a goat stampede. Now we just have goats discoing in. Like, yeah,
we had the good wife and I saw some live goats today, actually. So I'll show you. I'll send you some pictures later.
Yeah, please do. Did you make friends? Or I mean, they're kind of mean if they don't know you. Actually,
they were very sweet goats. Actually, one of them was very old. This guy, that's a youngin.
Oh yeah,
cute, super cute.
If there wasn't a fence in front of him, we would have to make a meme.
I know, right? We've got some other shots. Anyway, so yeah, we'll see what happens if Haley the goat brings back, the BART ridership from all the kids.
I mean, if they're just trying to rebrand BART and try to make some, like, I don't know, that might not be the worst idea because nothing else seems to be working. So
yeah, sure.
But we're going to move on to winners and losers, and I think that the problem isn't just BART. I think the problem, and maybe I'll wait till after this story. Like I know what the problem is, but here experts fear that all of Bay Area mass transit might be in big trouble. Actually.
We begin with the growing push to fund Bay Area mass transit, with advocates warning of a potential death spiral if the governor does not step in to help. Here's what the Bay Area transit agencies are facing right now. In the next fiscal year, BART is projected to have an operating deficit of $140 million. For Muni, that number is $130 million, and Caltrain is facing a $49 million deficit. The situation will get even worse for both BART and Muni as they run out of COVID relief money. That could lead to drastic service cuts. Our Jose Martinez is live in Millbrae with the Bay Area commuters who would be impacted. Jose.
Yeah, it's very interesting how they're dealing with this here at Millbrae. We spent some time with two of them. One says he barely takes BART trains. He only takes it when he has to go to the airport. Now, the other one actually depends on it, and he says if they reduce the number of trains, he's going to be screwed this summer.
I love riding.
Meet Joey Sanko, a Bay Area resident who used to rely on BART for his daily commute. However, today he finds the transit system too dangerous.
I used to pre-COVID, but since COVID, obviously nobody took it, right? But even now, post-COVID, it doesn't seem as safe as it was before, so I don't take it like I used to. I just drive.
We caught up with Joey as he was heading to the airport, the only reason he says he would take BART these days. But for other residents like Gerard Rujingabigui, who doesn't own a car, BART and Caltrain are the only options for their daily commute.
The trains are very helpful, and I have been using the trains for the whole time. I haven't been late to my normal services.
He's a fellow at Stanford University. He takes the train to Palo Alto every day. For him, any reduction in train services during the summer would be a nightmare. And that could happen if BART and the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency, which operates Muni, don't get a $5 billion bailout included in the state budget.
I think it would be problematic if it stops.
Yeah, and you were telling us that you would have to take the bus.
Yes.
How long would that take you from your house to get to Stanford if you had to take the bus?
More than an hour, yes. But for the train, it is 20 minutes.
On Wednesday, Mayor London Breed sent a letter to state lawmakers urging them to include transit operations funding in the state budget. She emphasized that San Francisco's economy, still recovering from the pandemic, cannot fully rebound if its transit systems collapse. However, Governor Newsom has already mentioned that while he's open to transit funding proposals, the state is facing its own $31 billion budget gap and might not be able to provide any substantial financial assistance. So,
if it happens, is that right? Because the intention's there, right? And the plans are there. But if they can't fund it and so forth, it still doesn't happen. So the bottom line is, if it doesn't happen, then we keep doing what's safer for us.
Right now, a group of supervisors is also trying to get help. They are calling out to the state government to use federal highway funds to close the budget deficit. Back to you.
So, I have an idea. I would be surprised to find out that the crime has increased on BART. It would be surprising to find out that it increased on light rail, and it would be very surprising to find out that maybe that it increased on Muni. Or I would just be surprised to find out any of this. I just think that I don't know what happened. Like at some point coming out of the pandemic, as things got back to, I mean, not coming out of the pandemic, there's still a pandemic out there, but coming out of the restrictions for the pandemic, people came back into the city life and they're terrified of it.
Yeah. No, it seems like it, right? Like people, I guess they didn't realize that they were living in a city before, right? And suddenly, yeah, welcome back. This is a tough nut right now, man. I don't. It's like a chicken and the egg thing. I don't know what these folks are going to do until the ridership comes back. They don't have even Caltrain, which is pretty good as far as recouping from fees, right? Fee recovery, as they call it. Even they're struggling right now, so it's dicey. And BART's trying to expand, right? They're spending a bunch of money to expand into San Jose, and if the money dries up, what happens to that project? So there's a lot of big questions in the air right now.
So it's a mess, right? Because the way to increase ridership is to make it better, and making it better literally means more frequent trains, like convenience.
Places, yeah.
People like the fucking news can drama queen about crime all day long, and it doesn't matter if the convenience increases, if there's more trains, if you get to your destination more quickly, it's not going to matter so much that the news is drama queening about crime or whatever on transit. People are going to tend to take it. If it goes the other way and the news is drama queening about probably I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm guessing more or less the same amount of like crime per mile per like train mile traveled on the system, then it's not going to get better. And I don't know. But I also have like a more like a more broad, like cultural, like critique here. Everybody here thinks they rich. Everybody here thinks they rich, and they think that shit is that the fucking train is for poor people.
Right.
And that's one of the main things. It's not like in real cities, people don't like. It's only West Coast cities, and Portland's way better than us. The Max is great. A lot of people take the Max in Portland. Seattle, the transit's it's not so great. And in LA, the transit's almost fucking non-existent. But like you go to the East Coast where there's all these cities next to each other and they're like denser. The whole area, like the Northeast, is just denser more broadly. People take a train between metro areas to go to work. That's their commute.
Yeah, absolutely. And some do that here, right? The Capital Corridor, ACE, things like that. I've ridden that myself. Not a lot, not a ton, right? It's not like slammed or packed, but it's like you said, it's sort of like a natural order of business. Like there's no caste system with public transit in like in New York, right? Like everyone rides the subway. Like Warren Buffett rides the subway, and the person who cleans the toilets at Warren Buffett's building rides the subway, right? So we're all on it, and they're all in it. We're all in it together, and there's this kind of sense of universal camaraderie, and it's kind of where we all show up for each other. Really, is in public transit. In other cities, right? Here, you're right. You're incredibly right. Like when I made the decision to take because I went to a private high school. So there was no bus, right? So I had to if I wanted to take the bus or wanted to get to school, on my own, I had to take the bus, the public bus. So I did it. You wouldn't believe the shit I had to take, right? Or maybe you would, from like classmates or even like relatives. My aunt, like, oh my God, he's taking, Councilman's taking the public bus to school. Is he going to be safe? He's only 14.
You're like, what the fuck do you think's happening on the bus, auntie?
Right. Like I can handle myself for like the whatever 10 blocks it takes to ride, or 2 miles to ride the bus to school.
14-year-olds can run too.
Amazing that, right? So there is definitely like a stigma or some sort of, like privilege layer here where everybody, even like if you can afford to have a car, suddenly like you shouldn't ever, public transit's beneath you somehow because you have a car or because whatever, right? But you're right. It's treated as, poor people's transit, right? And not just public transit.
Even just having lived in San Francisco myself, like when I lived at fucking Church and Market, that was everybody there had money. Mm-hmm. Everybody took the underground.
Yeah.
That's how we got places. Everybody grabbed, even people with cars, they didn't drive. They're like, girl, we're going out in the Mission, or we're going to South of Market. We got on the bus at like 7 or 8 to go out. We'd go out of dinner, and then we'd just take a fucking cab up home back from the Mission back to the Castro.
Yeah, or even if you take the bus back or the train, you're safe, right? You can get drunk as you want. You can party down, and you get home safely and efficiently.
If you were really feeling yourself, you could just walk from the Mission back to the Castro. It was like 2.5 or 3 miles. But like if you were with friends or whatever, I'm telling you, a city mile is a lot different than a fucking suburb mile, right? A suburb mile is depressing. And I think that
you feel it. You feel every single step in a suburb mile.
Right. And I think that like it's not just transit. It's like people don't walk as much. People aren't walking, unless you're in like the city center. Like if you're in the city center, you'll walk 1.5 miles to go somewhere. But if you're in the burbs, you're going to take your car that same 1.5 miles. And I don't know what it is. I think it's just culture. And I think people just think that
it is.
People just think that like if you're walking, it must be because you have to, not because it's a way to get places. Or like I remember sometimes I'd get on if I'd go into work like on a Saturday, like when I had to commute to the north side, I'd get on the train kind of late in the day, 11 noon, because I was only going to go to work for a couple hours. Sometimes maybe I'd go there because my office had central air and my apartment did not. But these fucking rich ladies from Los Gatos, I'd see them. It's not the same ones, but they'd get on the train and they'd be like, it's so clean. They'd be like, this is so cute. And most of the time I'd be like, hey, did you know that people use this to get to work?
Right.
sometimes they couldn't tell that I was talking shit to them. And sometimes they could. But never, they were like, wait, I would ride this. One of the ladies was like, I would ride this to work. And I'm like, well, talk to Los Gatos, talk to your city, because this was supposed to go out to Vasona.
Right.
And then your people in your community said, Right. Now you got this bus that goes from fucking downtown Los Gatos that it like writes your name in this fucking West Side on its way to the Winchester light rail. Like, but it's a cultural thing, and I think it's West Coast car culture is a big part of it, and a car as a status symbol is a part of it too.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right, 100% about the cultural aspect, and it goes down to the folks who we hear a lot out in our city streets. The guys that are dirt poor, right? They're working 3 or 4 jobs, or working class. They've got kids. They've got mortgage or rent to pay, and they're driving around some fabulous whip, right? Like that they spend a bunch of money on, right? They have no money for anything else, but they got enough money to have this whip that looks good and they can roll around in.
If you got kids, it's different. If you want to have a nice, comfortable, safe car for your kids, that's different. The ones that bother me are like the single people. Like there was a guy I knew. There's a guy I knew. He worked at Cisco and lived like he could see the Campbell light rail station. And I explained to him, I'm like, dude, did you know that light rail station over there will take you basically to the front steps of your work? You won't even have to transfer.
Right. And you sit right there, just relax. You can sleep. You want to sleep? Go for it.
He eventually started doing it a few days a week, and because I told him, I'm like, you know what I do? I start reading my email. I start working when I get on the train. I start taking care of stuff that I don't need to necessarily be in the office for. Then it shortens my day. My commute becomes part of my work day.
Right. You become more efficient at work, right? Your boss might appreciate the efficiency aspect of it too. So maybe they should pay to give you a public transit pass. And maybe they should lobby the city and county governments to create better transit options for their employees, right? Especially if you're a Cisco, right? And
Cisco does. Cisco actually gives VTA money.
100%. Like they better, right? Because they're serviced so heavily by them.
And I mean, if you get on light rail at like 8 or 9 in the morning, I have a lot of Cisco badges. A lot of people do ride it. But it's like it's just crazy. It doesn't make any sense, like the way people sort of think about transit. And as you would think that as maybe other things in your life get more expensive, spending more time, spending the $60 or $70 on the transit pass and using that as much as possible would be a good way to kind of offset a little bit of like what's going on with inflation. But I don't think people think of it that way. I think they really, they're like, wow, I got to walk to the train station. That's 10 minutes. All right.
It's only $5 for a gallon of gas.
Right.
It's only $6 for a gallon of gas. It's only $7 for a gallon of gas.
It's like while you're walking on the way, you could listen to a podcast or something. Like you'd be fine. You can listen to Downballot on your way to the light rail station. Come on,
learn things. You can learn a thing or two.
So let's move on. I could talk about this all fucking day, but I do have another show to do after this one at some point. So
we have other losers to get to here.
Yeah. So this is San Francisco seeks more ideas on fighting the fentanyl crisis. Following a chaotic forum. Oh, this is awful.
We're going to find out more later.
Terrible.
California is dealing with a drug crisis. The State Department of Justice says nearly 12,000 people died from overdoses last year. We've seen it here in San Francisco. In fact, here's video taken by one of
That's just somebody hitting a bong.
Before the mayor gave a speech at UN Plaza. The California Department of Health says there were close to 400 fentanyl-related deaths in San Francisco in 2021. That
person's doing cocaine.
Increase over 2019. Today, there was a rally for what advocates are calling recovery on demand. This while San Francisco Mayor London Breed is calling for more of a crackdown on people using drugs out in the open. Wilson Walker has the story.
People are struggling on our streets, and they need to find hope. And we as a community need to inspire change within them.
People are dying every day on our streets.
Another day, another event aimed at taking control of San Francisco's drug crisis, this one organized by a growing group of recovery advocates that want to make it easier for people to get help by offering recovery on demand.
A simple concept, have a bed available when someone needs it.
I think a lot of people are going to be surprised to hear that that's not the case right now.
That is not the case at all in San Francisco. Right now it takes around 10 days to get into treatment.
While this push for change is coming largely from outside of City Hall, the mayor's office is plotting changes as well. A pilot program that will allow police to detain people, quote, when someone is so far under the influence of drugs that they may pose a danger to themselves or others, unquote. Now, details will be announced next week, but many of the city's service providers say it will be a disaster.
You can call this whatever you want to call it, but when you're prioritizing a carceral approach to people who use drugs that need help, you're going to drive the overdose rates up.
Divisions over how to help users and manage dealers are becoming old fault lines in San Francisco. What's new are the growing calls to try something different, even if they have to make it happen themselves.
And we're going to make this change starting today.
So the episode at UN Plaza, just another step along the way with gears moving in all sorts of directions. Different people with different philosophies trying to come up with solutions. Things do need to change out here. The question is, what does that look like and how long is it going to take?
Wilson, thank you. Police arrested a woman during yesterday's public gathering at UN Plaza who they say threw a brick hitting a child nearby. She's now facing charges of assault and child endangerment.
Oh, I think that's our next story.
Yeah, I think that's about the same thing. Maybe we should just run right to that one.
Yeah, we're going to just run right into this next story here. Apparently somebody threw a brick at the San Francisco mayor.
Hello, I'm Sarah Donchie. Everyone agrees it is bad, terrible.
Oh, it's the same footage of the bong.
I know, well, same network. It's their B-roll.
Downtown San Francisco, the very same
We need B-roll of people doing drugs.
The mayor and top city leaders meeting today to announce their plans to address it, or at least they tried. The meeting was outside in the middle of UN Plaza, and it got contentious. But here is what our cameras caught right around the corner, steps away, that you won't see on other stations tonight.
Bad news on the doorstep. I couldn't take one more step.
Babe, I need a jump. Babe, yes, I see you. I need a jump.
All that rampant drug use in plain view, we spotted what looked like a young girl in a school uniform walking right on by there as people were smoking.
You don't give a fuck.
Up, and we saw this man.
Like I see it every day. Whatever.
Strapped to his chest.
That's Joe.
In front of the
That's
very
Mary.
Same thing. So let's bring in Betty Yu. Betty, this was all steps from City Hall, we know.
I like that pan over. Here's Betty.
Shouted out of a public forum about this same subject.
That's right. And this was a very long planned and rare meeting that didn't last very long at all. It took place at one of the worst drug hotspots in the city, meant to draw urgency to the drug crisis and deteriorating street conditions in San Francisco.
I run into people day in and day out in the Tenderloin, and they say, London, we would have never been allowed to get away with this stuff back in the day. And the fact is, it's time for a change. We want to give people help, but we will not continue to allow things to just occur as they have been.
Mayor London Breed spoke forcefully as she called for a tougher approach to dealing with the brazen open-air drug crisis during a special session held at UN Plaza, the epicenter of the problem. It wasn't hard for our cameras to find people openly using drugs nearby, in the shadow of City Hall.
I think they should give us housing. You know what I'm saying? There's 276,000 millionaires in the city.
The off-site meeting was called by Supervisor Aaron Peskin, who said while the problem isn't new, it's become so visible many San Franciscans don't feel safe. Within minutes, the meeting turned chaotic.
So my question to the mayor is, will you now, as we do...
Peskin had just begun to ask the mayor to set up an emergency operations center that would coordinate city agencies around shutting down open-air drug markets within 90 days.
And in fact, our local resources have increased, but it has not dealt with the problem based on the magnitude of what we're experiencing.
Protesters quickly shouted down the meeting, and witnesses said someone threw a brick, injuring a teen, before being subdued by the crowd and police. The meeting was moved to City Hall.
We are proposing changes to our state law, and we will be enacting local programs to try to end this disruptive behavior.
The mayor also spoke passionately about the next generation growing up in the city.
Why should someone else's rights be put before their needs and their safety and what they deserve too in a place like San Francisco that claims to be so compassionate and liberal? What about them?
Okay, obviously a lot of tough talk from Mayor Breed. We've heard that from her before, to be clear. what is her plan to actually get this into action?
We heard some specifics
at 209.
She urged the board to work together to approve her public safety budget and also support programs and legislation, even at the state level, to change our laws. She also asked these supervisors to support arrests for those struggling with drug addiction, even especially when they break the law.
Okay, Betty, thank you so much.
Okay, well, I mean, if you're accused of a crime, you're oftentimes arrested. So that is what it is. I feel like I'm starting to get the impression now the London Breed is politically ambitious and that she has eyes well beyond the mayor of San Francisco.
I don't have my bell with me. I forgot to bring it. Ding. Yeah. 100%. Absolutely. I think Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, everyone's starting to see San Francisco as a political springboard. And there's so many issues you can get invested in. You can get invested in political angles and values that are unique to San Francisco. Like London Breed, I mentioned like Ed 209, right? She's a tough on crime police, first kind of a mayor, right? And you'd think in San Francisco, well, that doesn't compute, right? Well, there's plenty of folks there, and there's plenty of folks everywhere that are on board with that mentality. Obviously, she got elected, and she's using that, right? I think she's using this as a way to say, eventually, when she tries to break out of San Francisco and go, statewide or maybe national, she can say, oh, look, I came out of liberal San Francisco, but I was tough on crime. I was, I did this and that and the other thing. I was a tough conservative on these particular issues, right? So you can trust me, Republicans. You can vote for me, even though I'm the scary black lady from San Francisco, right? Or the liberal black lady from San Francisco. So I think she's certainly trying to create a narrative for herself, whether it's for another office or it's just legacy, right? Or whatever she's going to do post mayorship. Yet to be seen. But you're right. She's certainly crafting a narrative.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I just don't think that, I don't remember a time when San Francisco, when there wasn't just people using drugs, openly in San Francisco.
Right, and I think it's back to that, what we've been talking about a lot on Downballot, right, which is sort of this tech bro attitude of narrative of, this, city's going straight to hell, and our city in general, right, our cities are going to hell, and there's, crime is up and yada, 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 and it's never been this bad. When in fact violent crime is down, right? We know property crime is up a little bit, but it fluctuates. But violent crime over time and property crime over time, over decades, is down. We're moving towards being a more safer society, period. It just doesn't appear that way because all you hear on Nextdoor and all you hear from our city leaders and all you hear from the people that are in charge and media, right? The people that have control over what we think and know and understand, for the most part, not you and me, obviously, but the general population. They hold so much sway, and all they talk about is violence, and all they talk about are these sort of starker crime narratives, right? When really we could be talking about what we can do to help, like that woman said, we need housing, we need things that help people. The guys these people need help. They don't need jail, right? They don't need to be taken in to custody because they can't, whatever, they're a threat to themselves or someone else. They need help. So that's the one thing that's tragic about all this is while London Breed is posturing for politics and Aaron Peskin's posturing, no one's actually helping these people. We're just letting it go on.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens, but it's funny. It's not funny. It's kind of, it's not haha funny. It's ironic funny.
Yeah.
That when London Breed, she's been out there kind of pushing this narrative, basically, that San Francisco's a shithole. And then somebody else calls San Francisco a shithole and she fucking clutches her pearls and shit. It's well, dude, yo, you've been calling the place a shithole, with, you know what I mean? What only you get to do that?
Right. Apparently it's like that. Yeah. Only we can call our city shitty. I guess that's the thing. Well, speaking of calling your city shitty or trying to keep your city shitty, Los Altos Hills.
Oh God, here we go. I just the fact that it's Los Altos Hills, I already know it's rich people. Rich people be wilding out.
Rich people not really liking poor people.
Here in the Bay, making it in the Bay, seemingly on hold on the peninsula, as a battle brews over a proposed housing development. Several Los Altos Hills homeowners have a spirited meeting with the city manager about how it's managing some proposed developments that could go around the town's zoning rules. NBC Bay Area's Chris Sanchez has been following this story very closely for us. She joins us from Los Altos Hills with more on the projects that could really change the way that the town looks.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Laura, in just the last few hours, those homeowners did meet with the city manager and communities all across California really in the same boat. They are under pressure and under requirement, I should say, by the state to come up with more affordable and moderate priced housing. The folks that we spoke with here in Los Altos Hills say they don't have a problem with that. They have a problem with how the city is going about allowing that.
Of course.
We are not allowed
of course. Oh, we want it. We just don't want this one or the one you proposed the last time or the one you proposed the time before that.
And can I just point out before we started up again, it's qualified as a protest. And really, this is like a bunch of white neighbors who got a meeting with the city manager because they were pissed about what the city was doing. So like, this isn't a protest like outside City Hall with pickets. Like these are people that were invited in and got a meeting because Los Altos Hills.
City manager and residents met, but we did hear some shouting and we did hear threat of a lawsuit against the town for not coming up with a plan for affordable housing rather than allowing projects to go around local ordinances under the state's builder's remedy provision. Now that provision allows builders to override local zoning laws for projects that include at least 20% low-income housing units or 100% moderate income units. Los Altos Hills currently allows 1 unit per acre.
What?
Now, according to today's update on the state's Department of Housing and Community Development website, the town's housing plan is not in compliance with the state's requirement, which then opens the door to those builders to move forward without town approval. Several homeowners in that closed-door meeting told us they support the affordable housing in Los Altos Hills. They welcome it, they say, but they want to have a say so that the plan works for the people who live here and not just for those developers.
So we were supposed to have a dialogue. We were supposed to be able to move the ball to get something a little more appropriate. And as I said, we were handed a lawyer and a city manager, nobody that has any authority to do anything.
Los Altos Hills needs 20 to 40 distributed sites where the people that come to live in this community live as part of this community. They do not need to be put into a segregated site in an inappropriate location.
Now, within the last 10 minutes, I got a statement from the Los Altos city manager that reads, in part, the town of Los Altos Hills remains dedicated to fostering a diverse and inclusive community where housing opportunities are accessible to all residents. We appreciate the concerns expressed by the protesters and recognize the urgency of addressing the issue of affordable housing. Our ongoing collaboration with HCD, which is the Housing and Community Development Department from the state and public, demonstrates our commitment to transparency, public engagement, and the pursuit of sustainable solutions. That statement from the city manager also says that the new plans are now added to the city's website so people can now take a look at them, and that they will begin with more robust civic engagement so people like the ones you heard from have a better say in how this is going to look. The residents say they will appeal to the state's Department of Housing and Community Development. If that doesn't work, they say they could sue the city or the town. In Los Altos Hills, Chris Sanchez, NBC Bay Area News.
I think everybody's trying to sue everybody, right?
Yeah, and let's be clear, it is a town, by the way. Los Altos Hills is a town, and that makes perfect sense. But yeah, so they actually buried the lead here. So the whole point of this is that the city hasn't, and a lot of cities haven't, gotten their housing plans in compliance with what the state is requesting. And because of that, there was a deadline, and if you don't hit that deadline, then yeah, developers can kind of skirt the rules, but not really. I mean, they just don't have to, follow certain obstacles. But yeah, if you're living in a town that allows 1 unit per acre, probably not. You could probably live with a little more density. I'm just saying, maybe. But I mean, if you've been to Los Altos Hills, you can kind of understand that it is a little bit of a rural kind of a town.
I don't know exactly how they're going to fix this. Maybe this the place probably isn't set up for it, but there's like places that are near the freeway, and like you could put like, you would, I mean, that's where I'd put the housing, is like near transit to the extent that they have it near the freeway. That's where I'd put it all, because that's like, well, first of all, that's where the people are going to complain the least. Like, let's be honest, right?
Right.
The super NIMBY people don't have a bus stop that goes down their streets. So
that's true. Yeah. And generally speaking, I mean, city plan, that's the funny thing. Like the guy was saying, we didn't get, we had a complaint and we didn't get anyone of authority. We just got the city manager. It's like the city manager is the CEO of the city. I don't know, or the town. I don't know if you guys realize that.
They have authority.
They have all the authority, right? The only person they answer to is the town council, right? So they can do whatever they want, just about within reason. Yeah, this is just another hilarious situation of, we weren't heard, and just really what happened was they didn't get what they wanted. Right. It wasn't they weren't heard. They were heard. They actually got a meeting with the city manager. You know how, I mean, in a town like Los Altos Hills, maybe that's a little easier, but like San Jose, you have to wait like weeks, months sometimes to get a one-on-one with the city manager, especially if you're just residents complaining about a zoning code or something. Like, that's ridiculous. You wouldn't even get that meeting. You would get like a low-level planning department staffer come and tell you that you're full of shit. So yeah, good on them for telling these people to go stuff it. But yeah, they do need to, most cities need to figure out their housing elements, or there will be more issues like this where, developers who aren't interested in building affordable housing are going to come through and try to skirt rules. So they do need to get their plans together. But I've think this is all crocodile tears from the residents, honestly. Like, oh my God, there might be like a 2-story house next door to my house.
Right. Or an apartment complex.
Or an apartment, yeah. God forbid someone's renting an apartment in my town.
All right, up next we looks like the LA Dodgers need to get their shit together, and I think we'll just let the local news tell us why.
Do it.
They say any publicity is good publicity, and San Francisco's Sister Roma has never shied away.
And a lot of people who thought they knew who we are and misunderstood us now understand us better, and people who've never heard of us have now learned who we are.
She's been a member of the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence for 35 years, and she's heard the criticism.
Gay group that specifically targets, mocks, denigrates, ridicules Catholics is not a message of inclusivity.
Senator Marco Rubio joined the calls to pull the sisters' invite from Dodgers Pride Night festivities. The Archdiocese of San Francisco thanked the Dodgers after they did.
Do you see how they could take offense that you could be mocking some of their values?
I understand their initial, the knee-jerk reactions. We actually do the work of nuns. We feed the hungry, we minister to the sick, we support queer and trans youth.
And now other groups are ditching the Dodgers event in support of the sisters, like Out Loud Sports, a queer athletic league.
They have to be mindful that our community stands together. And if you don't recognize all of us, you're just being performative.
The ACLU of Southern California also says they will not participate, writing the Dodgers, which broke the color line in baseball in 1947 by signing Jackie Robinson, were champions of inclusion. 76 years later, they take a giant step backward, banning a long-standing drag charity. The battle lines are being drawn at a time when anti-trans legislation is passing in several red states across the nation. Sister Roma tries to understand the Dodgers' position.
They got the blowback and they just weren't ready for it. And they didn't know how to react.
So it sounds like you are sympathizing with them a little bit.
I am actually sympathizing with the Dodgers a little bit, believe it or not. And I'm probably going to be canceled for this. Hi. You wish that we'd be canceled together?
And at that moment, a man crashes our interview to tell Sister Roma how much she means to the LGBTQ community.
All right, you too.
For me, for us.
Yes.
Can you do that?
Yes, baby.
No.
All right, you're not going to cry.
I think I am.
These are the moments that Sister Roma says she knows that she's doing the right thing.
Because you're part of what makes this city the greatest city in the world.
Oh, my goodness.
No.
Thank you.
We rely on you.
Outside of the San Francisco bubble, there have been rumors that the Dodgers might change their minds.
I hope that it works out and everybody can come to an understanding.
In the meantime, Sister Roma is choosing to see the bright, even glittery side of the situation.
So we got word from chat that they were actually invited back. So that's
that they definitely reverse course, which is
so that's
nice. Yeah, very much so. It's just I thought it was great, really great point about Jackie Robinson. Actually, the Dodgers were the first team that fielded a black player, Jackie Robinson, in 1947, broke the color barrier in baseball. So it's very interesting. And also, we're really big on bringing Latinos into the game, Fernando Valenzuela and others. So it's kind of ironic that they were the ones kind of forcing this back. This more than likely was an executive ownership kind of a thing. Maybe they're Republicans and they're donors to Marco Rubio. I don't know. But yeah, good on them for reversing course. But it's very interesting that it was the Dodgers. So glad that they got their shit together. But just another. I don't understand how a baseball team in Los Angeles gives two fucks about what a senator from Florida thinks. But
well, no, I think they probably got they were probably being harassed by individual people. It wasn't just Marco Rubio, right? I think that there's just a big kind of political movement to suggest that anybody presenting themselves in a non-conforming way is going to abuse your children, essentially. And that's what's going on. So they were getting calls probably at their home office from people all across the country calling the Dodgers a bunch of groomers and shit.
Sure, yeah, right. And same with the drag.
Can you talk closer to your mic so that people can hear you?
Oh yeah. And same with thing like drag queen story time, right? And they're gonna turn all our kids gay. God help us all. It's just this reactionary crap that we need less of. So as long as we keep calling them out, good on them for reversing course. They shouldn't have had to in the first place, right? It's one of those things where they should have done the right thing the first time, and actually they did. I mean, they invited these folks. It wasn't like the sisters said, "Hey, can we be part of your LA Pride party?" Right? And they said, "No, right? We're full up or whatever." They invited them and then got blowback and said, "Oh no, you can't come." It's like, and now you can because you're getting blowback from us. Like, okay, so what happens next when Trump or someone else comes and says, "Oh, this is wrong"? Are you going to reverse course again? So we'll keep an eye on them. I'm going to go grab something for her to put in her mouth here. She's very opinionated right now. But I'll be right back. I've seen this next story, so you can run this, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
We're going to move on to Downballot Watch. This is a story about the Cupertino City Council that we've been covering. Some of the city council members have been stripped of their committee assignments, and things are not going so well for the Cupertino City Council.
There's already been a scathing civil grand jury report and an independent investigation by an outside law firm. The end result is the city council here in Cupertino is in virtual chaos.
City Council special meeting today.
This is a special meeting by the Cupertino City Council last Tuesday, and it was rocky from the get-go.
The agenda tonight contemplates referral to the district attorney, which means that I must recuse myself because there is a foreseeable financial impact to myself and my family. Thank you all and have a good evening.
Councilwomen Kitty Moore and Liang Chow were at the center of the controversy and both spoke before recusing themselves.
The political power brokers have tried to influence and muzzle the city council and staff through anonymous, undisclosed interviews.
A short time later, their council colleagues stripped them of their committee assignments, and now there is a move to perhaps censure the duo. This independent investigation mirrored the report by the civil grand jury accusing the council members of poor treatment of city staff and circumventing council member protocols, including going around the city manager on certain issues.
And that's not how a city is supposed to work.
Neil Park McClintock is with the group Cupertino for All.
So you take an already overworked staff and then you basically tell them, hey, so I want you to go find 7,000 pages of stuff to go through and find these specific things that I'm looking for. That's untenable.
The report says the actions have led to high turnover among senior staff members. In an email to NBC Bay Area, Moore said the report ignored her comments about why she had multiple concerns over the years about certain decisions. And she said she needs to ask a lot of tough questions to be able to make tough decisions.
Yes, I am proud of my service in office.
Former Mayor Darcy Paul might be in legal trouble himself. The council claims Paul might have been involved in criminal activity while in office by also allegedly circumventing the city manager.
The city attorney will take Ms. Dobby's report and turn it into the district attorney's office.
Basically, with a referral from us saying, can you please look at this and investigate?
Investigate only
this thing.
Only the hiring and firing decisions.
Yeah.
The former mayor did not return our messages to his law office seeking comment. Councilwoman Chow and Mayor Hung Wei also did not return our messages. In Cupertino, Damian Trujillo, NBC Bay Area News.
I don't know enough about what's going on there really, but you know, those people should maybe like step down or something along those lines. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on, and I'm I guess kind of flying solo, I guess. So
it's I'm here. It's nuanced. I mean, it's definitely a political tit for tat, right? Cupertino's just been a mess for a long time now. Whether it's the Valco development or anything else, there's an obvious divide here between, like we were just talking about in the previous story, you know, folks who are, or the Los Altos story, sorry, folks who are down for housing and folks who are not, right? Folks who are down for more density and down for being a city, and folks who want to be Mayberry forever. And that's what you're dealing with here, only it's at the council level, right? So you've got a couple of council members who've opened themselves up to criticism by being probably a little too harsh with staff, but they're also the ones that are anti-housing, right? And they're in the minority on the council. So the majority on the council is using this as an opportunity to attack them and to try and take them down a notch. But it's also true that they are, you know, they're not, I don't want to say staff abusers. There's certainly plenty of those out there in elected official land. But they're certainly overstepping their rights and their purview. Like we said with the Los Altos story, again, city manager kind of runs the town. Like, and the same thing in Cupertino, they're on the same kind of form of government where the city manager runs the show. And the council, as the council, you really have to go through them. Like, you're not allowed to just, you know, not allowed. I mean, you can do it, but it's not prudent to just go straight to like a, you know, entry-level staffer at City Hall and say, can you get me this, right? You have to go through protocols like anyone else, right? So that's really what they're calling out here. But it is, and the people that are getting called out are right. It is political gamesmanship, but they open themselves up to it. So we'll see what comes down. But again, it all comes back to this. It's like a proxy war over development, basically, which we see quite a bit in the South Bay right now.
And I'm not for nothing. It's not like Cupertino isn't like I don't know what Cupertino's already dense.
Yeah, I mean it's getting there too. It's getting dense in the places and the spaces and the amount that folks are comfortable with at this point. But the Valco project was the redevelopment of Valco, the huge mall out there in Cupertino, which is now like the land is pretty much vacant. It's just sort of sitting there waiting. Part of it's been redeveloped. That was a huge issue. It went to the ballot a couple times, I think, and it's caused a lot of rift and a lot of just vitriol and bad blood in the city, so in the town, and it's made city leaders, I think, a little bit, you know, what's the word? Not trigger happy, but a little bit scared, right? A little bit sketchy about moving forward with projects because they don't know what kind of blowback they're going to get. So it's unfortunate, but it goes on. We will continue to keep an eye on it in our mode here at Downballot. We're following up these days.
So we're going to be following up on the Oakland school district thing, and I don't know if this is a winner or a loser here because I didn't follow this up, but it looks like the teachers got paid.
Yeah, we threw it in a Downballot because I think they did. There are some winners here, so let's hear more from NBC Bay Area.
Right now at 11, returning to the classroom, but with time ticking down with the end of the school year, that stress is ticking up. We're live with a big task ahead after Oakland students and teachers were out of school for more than a week due to a strike. Good morning, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Laura Garcia.
And I'm Marcus Washington. As we speak, teachers and students at Oakland Unified, they're back in the classroom. And with graduation and the last day of school coming up next week, the stress of the strike will morph into stress just to get everything done in time.
NBC Bay Area's Chris Sanchez joins us live with reaction to this new deal. Chris?
Well, I have a freshman high school student and a junior high school student, and I know how they would have felt if they had missed the second to last week of school. These students felt exactly the same here at Oakland Unified. As you said, graduation and the last day of school are coming up next week. But now that there is a tentative agreement in place, everybody's back where they're supposed to be. The Oakland Unified superintendent and the president of the Oakland Teachers Union both agree that it's good to have some stability moving forward.
Muy feliz porque ya van a empezar las clases de nuevo y pues no se van a perder el año.
We talked with parents at Oakland High who are feeling relieved that the teachers' strike is finally over and kids are getting back to class. Students walking into school today know they have a lot of work to make up in a short amount of time.
Hopefully school does stay back because I kind of want to get my final grades too.
I feel like everybody frustrated though. Like, I don't know, teachers was out there striking for a week, and so like now they have to come back and do like grades before like Friday and everything. So it's just crazy, to be honest.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to affect your grades?
For me personally, I'm chilling. I don't know about everybody else.
teachers off the picket line
I like
back
him.
into the classroom is a $70 million package that will mean an average pay raise of 15%, a one-time $5,000 stipend, and a promise from the district to hire more counselors, librarians, nurses, and performing arts teachers. Oakland Unified also made some common good agreements, including providing resources for unhoused students, revisiting school closure policies, and creating a task force to explore reparations for Black students. During the morning drop-off, we talked with some parents who say that despite the timing of the strike for their kids, they support teachers fighting for that better contract.
I believe teachers deserve everything.
That salary is not enough for them, I know. I can say that, yeah.
They deserve it. Overcrowded classrooms, crazy kids, and parents could care less. So they deserve what they ask for.
And several of those parents said that they also use this as an opportunity to talk with their kids about things like work and labor and getting paid what you're worth. So this is a tentative deal. It will become final once the union votes to ratify it, once Alameda County accepts the contract, and once Oakland Unified also votes to accept it as well. In Oakland, Chris Sanchez, NBC Bay Area News.
Very nice. I like the parents too, especially the last one. He's like, "Hey, man, they got problems with the kids. Like, this is a tough job. It's like give them what they need. Give them what they need."
He's like, I know my kid. He's freaking crazy. I'm glad to get rid of him for 6 or 7 hours a day. If they have to deal with him, they should get paid more. That's absolutely true. So good on them. 15% pay raise is nothing to sniff at. They also got that taken all the way up the pay scale too. So everyone got a bump from the top on down and the bottom on up. The $5,000 does not sound like a lot in a bonus, but that's huge for a teacher. A teacher making $55K a year, $5,000 is a big amount.
It's just a 10% bonus, basically, a 10% on their salary bonus. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, that pays the rent for probably a couple months at least on its own. So that's huge for them. And then the other pieces are enormous, like counselors that's what I really enjoyed I appreciated about the teacher's position is that they weren't just looking out for obviously they have number one, right? They have their wages and their conditions, but they're also looking to improve situations for students, right? More services for homeless students, more counseling, more performing arts and arts teachers, more librarians, more support, because they understand that helps them do their job better too, right? It's not just good for the students to have all that support. Having those students supported like that makes their job easier, right? And gives them more support and people that they can count on to help educate.
So that they can focus on the thing that they're supposed to focus on.
Correct. And they don't have to serve as the counselor, librarian, arts. They can just do the job that they are there to do. And that's huge, right? And kids themselves and the students themselves, the less they have to worry about all the shit that's going on outside of school, right? If they can get a hot meal at school, if they can find a way to housing through services at the school, right? If they can find these kind of other support services, counseling for grief or for mental health, they're going to be better students. They're going to be better prepared to go in the classroom and learn at the end of the day. And that's what we want, right? That's really what's going to improve education. I think there's plenty of people know what to do. Teachers know what to do, right? Most of them, they know what to do. They know how to teach. It's not a question of whether or not our children can learn either. Right? They absolutely can, and our teachers can teach, and we've got the right idea. It's just creating an environment where that's conducive to learning. It's pretty much all that we're trying to do.
Right, to the extent that the school can even control that, because there's going to be things that are far outside of the school's control where those things are going to make it tough anyway. And so if the school is better staffed, better equipped to deal with maybe some of the things that the students bring from outside of the school by having counselors, maybe it's not necessarily even the counselor, maybe the library staff, maybe the kid loves to read or the student loves to read. And so they're able to maybe cope better with some of the problems in the outside world because now they have better access to a library, or maybe better lunches so that everybody's better fed. Like there's just like, these are like young people. These are like not adults. They're not, we don't have them fending for themselves, and that's for a reason. And so when they show up at the school, they shouldn't be having to fend for themselves in like, I don't know, it should be a place where you don't have to, where
you get the support you need, right? Whatever it is, you're going to get that, even if you have to ask for it. So speaking of bringing things to school, right, and mental health, and of course you get our next story takes that to the next level, and what happens when students do feel unsafe and threatened, right? And this is what happens. And of course, parents react with sort of the opposite reaction that they would in the last story. So let's hear more from Fox 2.
Concerned parents and teachers packed a meeting tonight, 1 week after that student was arrested. Good evening. I'm Julie Hayner.
And I'm Mike Meeback. Parents want the school district to be more transparent when incidents happen on campus. New at 10, KTVU's LaMonica Peters live at Hoover Middle School in San Jose, where tonight's meeting was held. LaMonica.
I just got to say, LaMonica does just so much work for this network.
Seriously, she seems to be on every story we run.
Right, every time it's KTVU Fox 2, it's LaMonica, and LaMonica, that blouse is just, oh God, you look great, girl, you look so good.
And they found a way to backlight her hair, so this is a great shot for a night.
And
shot
she has to do
exterior.
this herself or with her camera person, right? She's responsible for all this.
It depends. She could. I mean, I think LaMonica, she's rolling around enough stories. They probably have a camera person with her. But yeah, a lot of the reporters are doing it all themselves these days. They set it all up. So, but yeah, great job with the lighting and everything. She looks great.
The meeting started with the superintendent, San Jose Police, and other agencies talking about safety and communications procedures. But the parents say they were still frustrated with the way the district communicated with them during and after the emergency.
In this past week, I had both of my children at different schools afraid for their lives at school.
A student at Willow Glen High School in San Jose was caught with a ghost gun and knife on campus last week. 2 school resource officers seized the weapons and the school was placed on lockdown. Parents also say a threat was recently made at Lincoln High. Willow Glen Middle School teacher Ruth Ammon spoke about her concerns.
I just sent you guys an email asking about your due diligence for safety. What are we going to do? 2/3 of our cameras aren't working. I got no response. We aren't trained completely to how to manage and navigate these traumas that are going on.
As the parent of 2 students in the district, Trudy McKenna said teachers are on the front line and the feedback they give should be heard and taken seriously.
Specifically moving forward, I'd like to see us start by listening to our teachers who are in the classrooms with our students. We just heard
parents who spoke said they wanted clear-cut answers about proper communication for emergency situations at school. Some complained the district didn't immediately inform parents about what was happening during the lockdown.
This is the piece that I
Wait a minute, hold on. If there's a dangerous situation going on at the school, I don't think making sure every individual parent knows exactly what's going on is going to fucking keep the kids safe.
Thing, yeah, we can get into this a little more, but what happened, the kid brought a gun to school. It was found out. The school resource officer, the police officer who's, has to be on campus or near campus, who responds to these things, responded to the complaint. Within 3 minutes, the student was apprehended. The gun was taken from him, and there was no threat. No one got hurt. And somehow in those 3 minutes where, the school is pretty much taking care of the most immediate need, which is neutralizing the threat, right? They're supposed to send an email to parents or a text to all their parents and say hey, shit's going down at the school, right? Because that's going to solve everything, right? That's going to solve everything to have 1,000 parents suddenly descend on the school to pick up their kids.
Right. I would think that appropriate, a good would be by the end of the day, letting kind of parent, but also doesn't the school district have a media? Wait, didn't you used to do a thing like that for the school district where you talk to the media?
I may have. It may have been for a district like this one, possibly.
So you have that person.
They have. So you have that exactly person, how these things go.
You have that person have a press conference, and the news is there, and after school's over, after everything's done, and after you have some fucking information, you have the person whose job that is go talk to the press and go, this happened today. We're real glad we're real glad that it wasn't worse. After we found this weapon, as is policy, we had to lock down the school to make sure there were no other weapons, that the student hadn't stashed weapons. We interviewed some of the students' friends to make sure everything was cool. And then now your kids are at home. I don't understand what the fuck do these people want? If the teachers are up, if the teachers are up there being I don't know, I didn't know what was going on, that's different because they work there.
And the thing is, it's teachers, right? There's never a shortage of 1 or 2 teachers at a site who just don't like administration for whatever reason, right? They have beef and they're just going to complain about everything, and they do. It's just like any employees, right? In any work site, in any industry, right? There's always someone who, them, right? They just complain about everything and they're never going to be satisfied. And that's pretty much the parents in any school district. The good wife and I are already looking forward to this when we get to go to board meetings and be like, we are parents in your district, and we have a problem, but we're actually going to have legit problems. Yeah, they want things that are completely unreasonable, right? Like they want they want their kid, they want the school district to vouch for the safety of their students at all times, 100% of the time, no matter what. An incident like this will never ever happen, and they can't do that. They can't promise that. So what do they want? They want walls around the schools. They want cameras in every corner. They want metal detectors at the school entrances. That's still not going to solve the problem, right? So it's that they want just assurances that nothing like this will ever happen again, which can't possibly be made. And they also want to know more as it's happening, after it's happening. They want to know everything, right? They want to know everything that they can possibly know about it, because somehow they're going to have this, knowing that information is going to help them protect their kid more or solve the situation more. Their kid is safe. Like we just said, the system worked. The safety plan, whatever it is, worked. No one got hurt. Even the kid that probably needs some mental health services for having to bring a gun to school. Has anyone bothered to ask that kid why he brought the gun to school? Did he feel threatened? What's going on there, right? If it were a white kid and not a Latino kid, would everyone be so upset about the kid and wanting him to go to jail? And someone even said he should be hanged, I guess, at this meeting, one of the asides in the back of the room from someone who was there. I heard from. If it was a white kid, would it be the same? There was a white kid that actually did literally shoot up a school. I don't know if we covered it. I forget on Downballot, but a couple years ago in this neighborhood, the elementary school that feeds this school, a white kid from the neighborhood got a rifle from his parents' rifle, and went and shot up the cameras that they say aren't functioning at the elementary school. And what happened then? Yeah, there were concerns about safety, but no one was talking about putting that kid in jail. They were talking, he needs help, he needs services, right? His parents could, obviously his poor parents, right? So it's like this dichotomy, this disconnect between what's really going to keep your kid safe and what you think keep your kid safe, and what you think you need and what you think you need as a parent, and what you think you're entitled to, frankly, as a parent, right? I like to think I would get it. I'd like to think I would get it. Who knows? If I was in this situation, maybe, I would be just as hypey as they are. But I like to think that I would understand and I would appreciate and give them the benefit, especially if my kid came home safe, right? At the end of the day, that's what I need. I want my kid educated, and I want them coming home safe. And if you do those things, I'm not going to have a huge issue with you.
So that's the other thing is the parents who are like, oh, this was a bad thing that happened, but it seems like the system worked. They don't show up at the meeting.
Oh, hell no. God, they have better things to do, right? They're busy taking care of their kids. Where are all these parents' kids? They have to get childcare. Is grandma taking care of all their kids while they're in, griping at why aren't they home talking to their kids about how do you feel? This one woman's my kids fear for their life. Really? Did they say that? Are you putting those words in their mouth? Did you put those words in them and tell them they should be afraid for their life? What are you doing to solve the problem by talking to your kid? And yeah, no one has the words for this. Nobody has the answers for this. Even the counselors don't know exactly what to say. You just talk to them. You talk to them about how they're feeling. You ask them how they're doing. It's not that hard, and it's not brain surgery, and they're not going to hate you for asking how they feel, right?
Yeah.
Mom, leave me alone. I'm fine. But they're not going to hate you. Nothing wrong with asking your kid how they feel.
The squeaky wheel gets the oil, but I don't even know what the oil is supposed to be in this case.
Right. That's the thing. In the district, if all the district can do, and all we would do when I was in these situations, because we had to do these meetings, we did when that kid shot up that other school. We had a meeting just like this in a cafeteria, and it's like unleashing the valve, right? You just let them talk, you let them ask their questions, you let them get it off their chest. And they're going to feel like they're unheard. And then 2 weeks later, they go on to something else. Like the PTA has some other issue that they need to deal with. Right. And it's over. Right. And so I hate to say it, but that's really how it's triage. You just do it. You check the box, you do the community meeting, and then you move on, because there's so many more important things to be doing day to day at a school district. And there are legitimate things that they do obfuscate and that they do hide from parents and that they do gloss over in terms of how they're running the school district, the education side of things. Right. They do have issues that need to be addressed. And that's even worse that we're spending all this time. It makes it even worse that we're spending all this time, and the parents are spending all this time on this when they should be thinking about the more fundamental things that the school is there for.
So we were going to move on to car versus building. This time it's the Sonoma County Sheriff's edition. Let's see what happened here.
Lucky to be alive. That's how a Santa Rosa woman is feeling tonight after a car launched into her home. The driver of that car arrested for DUI.
And we've learned she's also the wife of the Sonoma County Sheriff. NBC Bay Area's Alyssa Gord is in Santa Rosa and spoke with the homeowner and her husband, who are still in shock.
I heard the revving of the engine first, and then I heard no brakes, and then I heard this like crackle.
Lori Johnson says she was in her recliner watching TV just before 1 a.m. when this gray Tesla hurtled into
Then
her
you didn't hear the revving of the engine.
furniture and glass towards her.
It's almost like an earthquake, but with concrete coming through. The 2x4s were laying on the side of me with nails. I had my knees up. I had debris. I had debris in my hair. I had sheetrock.
I hear her screaming, the love of my life.
The crash woke up her husband, Mark Johnson, who was terrified. Paramedics took Lori to the hospital to be treated for cuts and bruises. Police tell us that car traveled up Montecito. It pushed into this yard, shoving aside trees, pushing away bushes, and launching into the side of the home, which is now boarded up.
She airborne, and it was stuck. And then I saw her lights, I saw the blinkers, and I heard her.
Police identified the driver as 47-year-old Natasha Whittinghill of Santa Rosa. She was arrested for felony DUI causing an injury. Police say she has since posted bail.
We didn't find out till today about 11 that she was the wife of the sheriff. And that was pretty hard.
Sonoma County Sheriff Eddie Ingram posted on Facebook acknowledging his wife was involved in the crash. He noted as a husband he's concerned for his wife's well-being, but said as a citizen and as a sheriff, I am also concerned about the person inside the home who suffered injuries. I understand that our community will have more questions and want answers.
We have a zero tolerance, especially when it comes to DUI collisions, and we just follow that all the way through. We just want to make sure there's no special treatment, no matter who the individual is.
Police say DUIs are fairly common, but DUI drivers hitting homes are not. Lori is now home from the hospital. She and her husband are exhausted and shaken up.
It's just traumatic. I'm a big baby when it comes to this kind of stuff.
But I think the worst part was to see the video, because I'm very lucky. If you see the inside of my house, I'm pretty lucky.
After this, they're thinking they want to move out of this house. In Santa Rosa, Alyssa Gord, NBC, Bay Area News.
Not the worst move. I mean, it's not like this house is just going to always get hit by a car, but you could see being like, I don't want to live here so much anymore after this happened here.
Yeah, and probably not like the dude in San Jose who's had his house run into like 13 times, he said, or 40 times, or I forget what he said, 43 times. So yeah, I actually thought this story, I was on Downballot watch because I thought it'd be more about the tie to the sheriff, which is kind of interesting. They didn't so much bury the lead, they just really didn't dig into that at all. So this is more of the human interest story. Thankfully, this woman is okay. Good on her and her husband, that she's all right and everyone's safe. But yeah, I'd like to learn more about what's going on with the sheriff's wife.
She needs help. She's in crisis, because we talked about this a minute ago. It's like, this would be like, would the sheriff be saying anyway, whatever. The sheriff should have anyway. Luckily enough, the sheriff has really nothing to do with this because this is the city. Yeah. The city prosecutor's office is going to be dealing with this, as far as I know. Yeah. So hopefully,
might be. Well, I mean, the county, courts might process it, but at the same time, it's like you're right. Like they can actually. The good thing is hopefully they can just. It's not that big a deal as far as that angle of the story, and they can deal with the help that she needs. Because yeah, if you're going airborne in a Tesla, there's something going on there.
Or maybe she should just get the book thrown at her like anybody else who did this.
I like that. I didn't even hear the engine rev. I just heard this.
So we're kind of up against it here. I think we're gonna just do the one of these in and another thing. The one we're not gonna do. There was a lion in San Jose. Rawr. That's the story. This one. Listen. It's very.
Don't forget to follow us on social media for beautiful food and inspiration.
It's just very basic, everybody.
Artisanal cupcakes.
I bet one of these people has an artisanal cupcake on their paddleboard. Yoga on a paddleboard.
I mean, come on. How can you get more Downballot?
We've got a new weekend activity that you may want to try to shake off all the stress this week. So Brian Hackney, he takes us to Sausalito, where people are taking their yoga practice to the next level. Is he on there? And on a paddleboard.
For breath work.
Breath work?
for space. It's a fun thing to do with a group of people.
Lee Claxton has been teaching her paddleboard yoga class for about 15 years.
Carrie, why don't you come on around here?
They paddle about a quarter of a mile from Liberty Ship Marina in Sausalito.
We're going to paddle out around the corner. Make sure that is zipped up tight.
Over to a nearby beach.
We drop anchors so everybody's spaced throughout class. Reach that arm up. We've been out here in the rain, we've been out here in the wind this year, and they keep coming back week after week. And pivot and turn, look over the opposite shoulder. Because your surface is constantly moving, that gentle rocking you're getting from the wind this morning is really helping center you. It takes your yoga practice sort of up a couple notches because you feel it when you get back in the studio and you practice on the mat. Keep lifting those hips to the sky, press your ribs towards your thighs. Beautiful.
So this helps you de-stress.
Absolutely. You know, in the studio, you de-stress, you're working on
those peasants doing this in a studio.
But your mind can wander
with no goats.
You're paying attention to the birds, the seals swimming around us, where you are in space, where you are on the board. And so it really helps you focus more inside. Breathing in and out, letting go.
But doesn't it increase the stress level to...
I know you want to ask that question, does anybody fall in? Very rarely. This time of year, I take great care to make sure people don't fall in. So I keep my eyes on everybody and make sure that, you know, everybody is in the right place.
But in the fall, fuck it. They can just fall in
I was going to say, like in the winter, that goes out the window.
Center, sit down low, lift those toes, reach those hands up high. Right knee left, left knee right. Press, 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 press.
How do you feel after that?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Relax.
There's nothing like it. It's just the best.
You're good?
Incredible, yes. De-stress. De-stress.
De-stressed. That's
Leave it all behind. Sometimes I say at the end of class, whatever you want to throw overboard and leave in the water.
All right, they host classes several times a week. Check out their website on Board SUP for more information.
That is the goddamn most fucking basic thing I've ever seen in my life.
And then don't forget to follow them on social media too.
Yeah, like even at the end.
Paddleboard Yoga. All right, yeah. So if you're a nice white lady from Sausalito, you know, feel free to go out and join these ladies. They seem like they're having a good time. I understand why they had to like go paddle around to this beach. They couldn't just meet at the beach and just put their paddleboards out in the water and do this, or like they could do it at a pool. Like I don't understand why it needs to be in like actual bay or ocean. It seems like they could do it anywhere there's water. Well, you're gonna try it sometime?
No,
not for you. Do you do yoga at all, like in studio or anywhere else?
No, but I should. I should stretch more. Everybody should.
Absolutely. The bad baby likes to stretch. Actually, we do our stretches in the morning because Daddy's getting older, so it's harder to carry her around.
Very nice.
All right. Well,
you gonna read the show out?
Yeah, I think we'll do it tonight. You want to help us read it out, bad baby? Well, this has been another wonderful episode of Down Ballot. Happy to be here as always with you, producer Dave. Please, everyone, stay tuned for Conspiracy Bingo, which comes up every Friday after Down Ballot. We do this show 7:30 p.m. live every Friday, except when we don't. You can check out our website, echoplexmedia.com, for all the ways that you can give, support, listen, watch all of our other shows. You absolutely should. Stay tuned, like I said, for Conspiracy Bingo. Make sure that you get your vax, wear a mask. If you want to wear pants, that's totally cool. But since I'm in LA, we'll make that optional. This is Audible Smoke, and I hope you have a great evening.
Time to get the party started. Pick up my phone just to check and see who's calling. Dress up real nice for the ladies at the bar, and I'm driving in my car just to get to where they are. Here at the local scene is where I plant my feet. It's where I smoke my cigarette and I hold my drink. I look at all my friends, they're all blazing greens. Here at the front of the stage, waiting for MTV. Where are those guys who's standing next to me with a pipe in his hand, ready to blaze for me? About 5 minutes later, we're all singing Queen. Now get the fuck up on stage, man, rock the scene, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, And what we want is to jam, so sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. I turn and head back to the bar for a refill, man, because you know where we are. We're headed out to the car to smoke another one and another one. Now just when the magic starts kicking in, I hear relapse playing, you know it's time to head in. Alright everybody, now it's time to grab a new drink, spark it if you got it, and then pass it to me. Yeah, we do what we want, and what we want is to jam, so sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam, so sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. Last up on the bill for the show tonight is Down and Dirty at 5, so we're headed outside to spark up another joint. Now who's got my lighter? Stoner E, of course, shouldn't you be inside?
I'm all up in this bitch, being who I gotta be. I'm fucked up like the US economy. The truth is that I don't think logically. Stoner E take you on a psychedelic odyssey. Now inside motherfuckers is rocking me, and outside shit we smoke a lot of broccoli. Rocky the roller, yo, that sexy girl be jocking me. Ain't too drunk to fuck, but I'll probably do it sloppily.
We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam, so sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy the band, enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam, so sit back and enjoy the band.
Molly say that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Well, Bob Marley said that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yeah,
we do what we want, and what we want is to jam, so sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want to do, what we want is to jam, so sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want to do, what we want is to jam, so sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam, so sit back and enjoy the band.
If you like what we're doing at Echoplex and aren't into Twitch, please join our Patreon at patreon.com/Echoplex. For $5, you can get every show from beginning to end sent to you as an MP3, even the stuff we bleep out because it's too spicy for Twitch. Echoplex would not be where we are today if it wasn't for the community support we receive. Find out all the ways you can support the show at echoplexmedia.com/support.